You probably already know me based on who I am, but just for the camera and for the audience, I'm Steven, real estate agent here in San Diego, YouTuber, all that jazz, content creator. Yeah, that's really about me. Nothing crazy about me, really. So, but tell us who you are and what you do here.
Yeah, my name is Brandon Graham. I'm actually a sales manager, licensed loan officer for CMG Home Loans. Recently got into content creation, so make sure you follow me on IG later. And I am here, I guess, to be interviewed by Mr. Steven, who's catching me off guard.
Hey, that's part of my job. It's really part of my job. But yeah, glad you're here. And yeah, what's going on? What's going on in the market that I think most people don't know?
Well, I mean, that's if you're watching the news, most people do know kind of what's going on in the market. So you should probably just shut that off. But kind of what I'm seeing is one, it's holiday season. If you've been in the real estate world for a long time, typically tends to slow down. Historically, holidays, people are traveling. They have expenses with gifts. But what I, personally seen, even for myself, is it's also one of the better times to really get out there and, there's no competition. Because you know what comes after the holidays, right? New Year's. What does everybody do come New Year's?
I don't know. What do people do? I sure do. I know what I'm doing on New Year's or after New Year's. But, everybody's different, right? So I think that's what's funny. But I want to tell the audience where he came from. Just a little bit. So what?
Before we get into that, let's talk about New Year's. Everyone has a New Year's resolution list, right?
That's right. And I know my New Year resolution list is get more fit and obviously get more clients. That's what we're all here for. At the end of the day, we're our closers, right? We're winners. So I agree. We gotta stay focused on be on track on the resolution. I completely agree with you on that.
Love it, dude. I can help you stay on track with that getting fit because you're on camera and I heard that that's your goal. But on top of that, it's usually everyone's goal is they want to buy a home or save money for a home. What I can encourage people is, if everybody has the same goal come New Year's, why are you waiting on the sidelines, right? Because the moment it comes next year, now you have all this competition you're fighting with. So where you could have got a good deal, now you might have to make multiple offers or just find more properties. So, I still truly believe that while the competition is lower, you should really get out there.
Okay, so is it a myth that we're in a downturn of the economy right now? What I see on the news, on the headlines, is tech companies are laying off. Everybody, the middle class are getting laid off. So if you don't have a recession-proof job, then how do they save for that down payment on a house? Or what's your creative way of doing that?
I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Mr. Dave Ramsey. I believe he has a lot of good stuff that he teaches on, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't believe on. But a lot of it just comes to, really budgeting. I'm really big on outside of my mortgage, which is the only debt I will ever have. I have no debt. I always make sure my credit cards are paid down. I live well below my means,
Yeah.
You can't be spending money you don't have, right?
Right.
In terms of a downturn, I can only speak for our market, right? I don't personally think we're having a huge market correction here in the San Diego area, but you have seen a little bit less competition with the higher interest rates, which, again, don't be afraid of the higher interest rates. While there's less competition, get in, buy the home. I just bought one myself with a high rate. I don't care because guess what? We can refinance, right? Now I don't have to fight the competition and maybe not get my closing costs covered or pay way over asking price. I got all the terms I wanted, right? We can talk about the terms of a recession. I believe it's two straight quarters of high inflation or something. You're technically in a recession.
Yeah.
But again, they've not really come out and said that, right? So, my advice to people is really just don't be spending money that you shouldn't be spending right now. Tuck away what you can. Pay down the smallest debts first that you can. Have higher interest rates if possible, and just weigh out this storm. And I think next year's a bright future.
I like that positive note at the end. But no, I completely agree with you. I think people tend to be over leveraged nowadays, and even with the savings account has gone up for the But I think, yeah, I agree with you. People need to really be mindful of what they're spending, but also, like, why are we going out to dinner every night? Like, when you know you can't afford that $50 steak or $100 steak, when you should be staying at home cooking like ramen. I don't know. I just think people like to be fancy, but no, I agree. Like everything in between. Yeah, I just think that you mentioned Dave Ramsey. I like the dude, but at the same time, I don't like some of his advice too general, right? Like it's like we're not in the early '90s anymore. This is 2022. Like finance has gone to a point where it's like there's more there's more things to learn than papers say, right? Like, I just think it's hilarious that he's still giving the same BS advice to everyone that's a viewer. But he's running a business. I give him props. Like right at the end of the day, he's making his money. But yeah, like I don't know how do you feel about the guy? Like aside from his videos and advice, like do you think his advice applies to majority of people? Like how do you feel about that?
So the advice that I love that he gets out is what I really believe he's teaching. I just recently reread his Total Money Makeover book, right? What he's really teaching is just a mindset. Like people's biggest issue, I believe, in our country is we're a spending economy. Like just consumer, spend, gotta have it now, and people are impatient. And I believe that the mindset that he's teaching is very, very well worth the reward, right? There's some other things that I just don't believe in. Like I'm always going to have a credit card. He teaches not to have one. My philosophy on that is if once you learn the mindset, why not have credit available to you? Just keep with the same mindset because like there's cashback rewards, right?
Yeah.
I pay everything on credit, pay it off immediately. They're giving me free money. Credit card companies ain't winning on me. So they're just giving me money as long as I'm paying that off, right?
Yeah. I completely agree.
And same, he preaches, 15-year mortgages. One, especially in today's day and age, it's really hard for people to qualify for a 15-year mortgage because it's double the payment, and then you're fixed into that monthly payment, right? Yes, I believe having an extended 30-year loan can it's more rigid, it takes decades to pay off, but the flexibility is there where now you can, as you have additional funds available, then you can pay extra towards principal to help you pay down your payment versus being fixed into it and forced to do it. It's just, it's not as flexible. I feel like you're not able to save as much and invest as much. Kind of like you said, not the 1990s anymore, right? There's so much more I could do with my money to reinvest that's going to make me more money than what I'm trying to save on my mortgage.
Exactly. No, I like the product of 50 mortgages, but however, like you said, the difference between the payment between a 30-year and 50 is substantial. And I think when people don't realize that, you can take the difference and invest in other assets that might be a little bit more liquid, right? But that payment is not liquid. You're bound to make that payment every single month. Whereas maybe if you take the difference and invest it in stocks or CD, they're a bit more liquid and you can get that cash right away and turn it into other assets for investment. So I definitely think the 15 mortgages is a very different product that's only for a selective amount of people that have that kind of cash flow that they need. But yeah, it's not the best. But I'm a fan of like all the mortgage products, but it's all for different tastes for different people, right? Depending on their situation. But going back to, I'm assuming you got a 30-year fix, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, cool. Tell us when did you get that mortgage, and tell us a little bit about the process. How's it closing? How is getting the keys? Like what goes through the steps for us?
Yeah, sure. So I closed beginning of September. So was that three and a half months ago?
Yeah.
Being in the industry, I've been an agent before. I've been a lender, so I understand the importance of just getting everything done as quickly as you can. We were clear to close in, I believe, 12 days. So got clear to close in less than 2 weeks.
Which is crazy, by the way. 12 days. It's crazy.
We're all on top of it. So as long as you're doing what your loan officer and your real estate agent are requesting of you, it's a slam dunk. It's easy going. But in terms of the process, you start off getting pre-approved.
Right.
Which you got to talk to your LO, talk to your real estate agent. They're going to give you to or recommend some preferred lenders. You get pre-approved, and then that's where you take that fancy piece of paper out, show your agent, and you get out there and it's the fun part. You get to start shopping for homes, right? I personally love that. You get to go in there, check out a bunch of homes, get ideas for what you're going to do with your home, because everybody's, what do you call that? Interior design is different, so it's cool to find to do that. Once you find the home you want, that's where you really work hand in hand with a real estate agent like Mr. Steven here. And you start negotiating, purchase price, closing date, concessions. Like if you want the seller to help you pay some of the closing costs, please keep in mind that you do have to pay those yourself if you don't get them negotiated. Once you get an offer accepted, that's where it really kind of falls back into your lender's hands, where we're going to go through the full loan process. Because based off the property, there might be some additional documentation that's required. Your real estate agent will schedule a home inspection for you. You want to make sure that you're doing that to make sure that nothing's wrong with the property. Because when you become a homeowner, now you're responsible for some of the stuff that you might not have been when you were just renting a home, right? Once you get all the loan documents in, you're like, hey, the home inspection's fine. You get your clear to close, and then whatever date you guys have scheduled to close, you're going to go sign a whole lot of documents.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important to understand when you're a buyer or even a seller is having a really solid agent and a loan officer, because I think those are very two pieces of people, or two people in your life that you really want to make sure that they know their crap, they know their shit, right? At the end of the day, it's like if you don't have a really good agent or loan officer, things fall through, finances fall through, and we all know how that feels when things fall to the floor and nothing really gets picked up. So you're saying having a really good agent that kind of guides you through that process and can explain that to you is really critical, but also, like you said, really having a loan officer that can explain to you the finances portion, because ultimately that's coming out of your pocket or somebody's pocket. So having that explained really well and then completing in a timely fashion I think is very important, and that's what makes us really good players in this space. I think you might know there's a lot of agents who just can't make it. They just fall through, right? And then it falls back to the LO, and then now we're having a whole different conversation. And that's not a conversation I want to have with my clients. I'm sure you don't want to have that same kind of conversation, because it's not fun. It's not. We don't want to be there. I don't want to be there. So I don't want to be the person that loses that client because of somebody else's mistake. So
yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite sayings, or how I always say it, is, once as a consumer, when you're after buying your home, you absolutely correct. You need a great real estate agent and you need a great lender, okay? Because you kind of become this trifecta, right? We're going to be a team, from the beginning of the process to the end until you get keys in home. And then for me, I follow up right after you close. I follow up monthly. I just want to make sure everything's going well. But the relationship continues on after that, right?
Right.
But you absolutely need to have a great real estate agent and a lender, because if, I forget the statistic, but I believe within like 50% of agents and maybe even lenders, in like the first 1 to 2 years, most of them, they don't cut it. They can't make it. They're like, hey, this is too hard.
Right.
And it's just not for them, right? You don't want somebody with that type of mindset or that type of work ethic working for you, right? Kind of compare it to, let's say like a Prius versus like a Lamborghini, right? You don't want to go and get a Prius as your real estate agent and your lender versus a Lamborghini, right? Yes, right. Maybe there is some additional cost there. Who knows? I'm just throwing out a scenario there, but you really want to have the best of the best in your court to ensure that there's it's as smooth and seamless as possible for you.
I completely agree. And also, to that fact, I think it's about personality, right? Like at the end of the day, we all gotta match. It's like a Tinder date. We all gotta swipe left or right on each other, and if that doesn't work out, we're not making a dream team. It's about building that dream team for me, right? So cool. I mean, now that you kind of explained that process, I kind of want to get to know a little bit about you and what you do for hobbies. Like where are you from? Tell the audience, because when I heard that, I was like, no freaking way. Like, that cannot be it. And I think I made a joke of like, okay, that's a freaking ghost town, because I don't even know it existed on the maps. So, like, kind of tell us, like, where you from, or what state you're in, and then when did you get here in San Diego? Because I've always lived here in San Diego pretty much my whole life. I probably spent a couple of years out of in Texas and in Atlanta, Georgia. So very different vibe out there, but yeah, it's up to you, right?
Yeah, sure. So I've lived in a few places. Maybe more deep than I've told you too is I was actually born in North Carolina because the old man was in the military. Very, very short lived there. Spent most of my life in the Midwest in Iowa. You know, great state. Easily spent, I'd say 25 plus years of my life there. Had a short little stint when we were younger in Colorado, which is a beautiful state. But yeah, kind of what I told Stephen was, and no one will believe this, but the small town I grew up in Iowa, I believe the population was 250, maybe 300.
300 people.
300 people in the entire town.
Okay, not 300,000, not 3,000, 300 people.
300.
Okay.
2 zeros, 300.
Okay. Just want to clear that up. That's a big number right there we're talking about.
So yeah, I spent most of my life growing up there. That's when I really first got into, the real estate gig. I've been in management most of my life. Love working with people, love coaching people and watching them grow. Started getting into real estate side of things. Was a real estate agent for 3 years out there. Found out that was my calling. But I always wanted to make it out to San Diego. Literally, if you ask anybody, it's been my dream for a long time. So during the pandemic, I got an opportunity in Phoenix, actually, as a lender. It's like, hey, you know what? It's close enough. A lot of craziness going on in California during COVID. So I was like, I'll wait it out, and I'm just next door. Got into the lending world, man, and I loved it. Like, I live and breathe it. I'm a numbers guy. I feel like I'm extremely good at what I do. I'm all about communication. That kind of the management side of me.
Yeah.
And on top of that, in this industry, you're learning something new every single day, right? Was there for right at 2 years and got opportunity to purchase my home out here in San Diego, North County here, and been here for 3.5 months, and now I'm meeting all kinds of cool new folk like you, and rest is history.
Well, I think you picked a really good city to move to, because you could have picked anywhere, right? San Francisco's cool, LA's popping, Irvine's great, Santa Barbara, what made you pick San Diego? Is it the weather? Like, was it the people or hot people here? Like, what are we talking about? There's a variety of ranges of people here, and like, what attracted you to San Diego out of all the major cities in California?
Yes, sure. Fun story is I originally thought it was LA I wanted to move to until I visited LA the first time, and
LA's trash.
I absolutely said nope. The first time I got stuck in traffic there for like 3 or 4 hours, I was like, this isn't for me. Maybe I didn't see the best parts of LA, but I decided against it. San Diego, love it. The weather, every time I check the weather, it's just perfect year round. The cost of living is not quite as high as LA. It's definitely not San Francisco.
Yeah.
I've been to San Francisco. There's parts of it that I like, but cost of living's one. It's just crazy expensive up there, kind of for what you get. And I do like that they kind of get a little bit more of the 4 seasons with the weather, but it really does get pretty chilly up there. And after getting out of Iowa, I don't do the cold no more.
You're not missing out. Like, if you want snow, you can go to the mountains. If you really want the 4 seasons, there's parts of California you can go to and experience that for the weekend and come back to this perfect weather. So I love when people bash on California for not having the 4 seasons or too expensive. But then I look at Iowa or Montana or North Dakota, I'm like, I'm okay. Because I'm like, it's unbearable during the winter seasons. I cannot go out. Like, I would hate that miserable life. I cannot imagine trying to go get food and buy groceries and have to be bare hands bring that back. Like, I'm just not about that lifestyle, So, prove me wrong, but I'm more than happy to pay the premium 20-30% to be here than freezing my ass off in my butt in the cold. So maybe that's me. So I'm glad you picked San Diego over any other states or any other cities in California, because you're right. It's a very different vibe and it's very different culture over there compared to San Diego. So
for sure. Put it into perspective too, as I'm actually flying out. I always fly back home for the holidays to see my family.
White Christmas, right?
Good old Iowa. It's not always white, it's just brutally cold. But to put it into perspective for everyone that's not from the Midwest or a cold area, is it's what, a low of 40, 45 here this week, maybe higher. I haven't checked the calendar today. I'm flying into weather of negative 14 for a low.
Negative 14.
That's pre-wind chill. You factor in wind chill, you can easily get up to negative 20, negative 30. So had to go buy a coat because don't have a warm coat anymore. Been acclimated to this warm weather, and I'm not really looking forward to it. But I love seeing my family and friends. So
but is it worth it? Is it really worth it?
It is worth it to see the family and friends. If I could get them all to ship up and move out here, I would. But we don't see the foreseeable future there yet.
No, pack them on a little container and just ship them here.
Yeah, one of them. What do you call them? The little the pods.
Yes. Yeah, pack them everybody together, ship them out here to LAX, and then drive them down here. Perfect. It'll be an amazing experience. I think they'll like it.
Hope you have a truck, because my little car ain't carrying that pod. Actually, I think they ship them now for you.
Oh, yeah, free shipping, right? Just it's free shipping. It's a little bit more expensive, but I think it's worth it. But hey, who am I to say to be out there? But yeah, that's really good. I like that. Okay. So what's your goal? I guess what's your goal for this coming year in terms of family, relationships, or business? Like where are we headed?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think I'm gonna more gear towards the business side of thing. To put it bluntly, I want to crush it, right? I'm a big believer. I really don't pay much attention to the news because I think it's a whole bunch of negative information out there. To each their own. We all have to sift through the proper information on what we want to do, right? It's funny. I actually recently posted a reel where, you can look at the news and be negative about life, or you can be positive and go out there and make life great for yourself, right? Opportunities are truly out there if you have the mindset for it, right?
Right.
I want to go out here. I want to make 2023 my biggest year ever. Like, I want to absolutely dominate.
Yeah.
I could tell you my personal goal, but I want to get to like 250, 500 million in funded volume. That's like my personal goal. So I honestly want to set myself up for this year. I want to at least hit 100 million. So that's my personal goal. Coming into this new market, meeting new folks, getting out there. It's truly a small world. Networking, it's like I find people that actually know people back home. I find people that, hey, I've talked to this person back in Phoenix. It's just the network out there. If you just get out there and do the work, it's opportunities are there.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of my personal goals. What about you?
I think the same. Like, I think this past 3 years since COVID happened, I feel like that's where I realized like you need to go out there and establish yourself as the guy in real estate or loans or YouTube, right? Like, you cannot be in your room just in your room and hope somebody discovers you, right? Like, that's like, what are you doing, right? So
yeah, it's actually funny. It's like putting up this "please do not disturb" sign.
Right. I which is hilarious because like I realized like you're right. Like, that's my mentality before when I was just starting off. But I realized like that's not the mentality I should have going forward this coming year. So there's a lot of goals that I really want to do. And I feel like when you're just starting off, there's not a lot of people and I feel like that's a good thing, right? Because then you can set the tone of who you are, what you do, and why you're the best of the best in this market, whether you're here or you're on the East Coast or Midwest. So I feel like being here, this is where the money's at. Like San Diego, LA is only 2 hours away. San Francisco is not too far. So like if you can establish yourself as somebody that is known in that market, people are gonna love you, right? Either they love you or they hate you, but that's still attention. And whether that's that's whether you want to pay attention to it or not. But ultimately, attention is attention. And I've been telling this dude, like, keep posting on Instagram and TikTok, but here we are sitting in this pod, like, talking about real estate, talking about loans, and talking about like everything that we're doing to really differentiate ourselves compared to the rest of the guys. Because ultimately, I want to, like you said, there's a target goal that I'm trying to hit, and sales goal that I'm trying to hit, and of course, separating myself where I'm making 6 figures and just killing it and setting that tone of who I am. I think we all both agree, like, we're at the stage in our lives this is happening. Like whether we like it or not, this is happening, and you can sit on sidelines like everybody else watching us do work, or you could do it, right? Like the Nike motto, just do it, right? Whether it's good content, bad content, people love to see the raw footage of what's happening. So
No, absolutely. That's well said. What is that saying? That you wanna surround yourself with like-minded individuals, right?
Yeah.
One thing that I've truly noticed is the further you get out, I feel like west. I haven't been east. Like the further I get out west, it's just so many people have this different mindset. I mean, and it makes sense. High cost of living out here, right? You have to work your butt off to, have that luxury life you want.
right,
And coming from the Midwest, it's just I don't see a lot of that mindset. It exists, but a lot of people are just okay with where they're at, and that's perfectly fine.
right,
If that's your desire, you just want to live that life. Kudos to you, more power to you.
yeah,
But for like-minded folks like this, the sky's the limit. The sky really is the limit. He's over here busting my chops on social media. If you guys knew less than a month ago, you wouldn't see my face anywhere near social media. I feel like I took a huge step. I haven't seen your reels yet lately. Where's your reels? I see your story.
Speaking of reels, I posted 3 reels this past 2 days. Where you been at? Like,
I better go back and double check those.
yeah. No. Speaking of, I tried to find you on social media, and like on LinkedIn, I couldn't find you. I was like, who is this kid coming into San Diego, brand new? Like, kudos to you to just make that decision coming out here. No family, no friends. Like, I've done that myself, going to Texas and going to the East Coast. Like, I think most people don't realize that, because when you're so young, like your knowledge is so narrow-minded. But now, like, we're here, we have the experience that we can definitely take that with us. So kudos to coming here. But yeah, where's your Instagram at? Because your Instagram game is super weak. Like, where are we? we gotta kick it up. And where's your story at? I mean, like, ultimately, like, I want to see what you're doing, right? Like, drop us some advice. Drop us what you want to do. Like, I feel like we like that. There's mutual relationship here. Where's the content at? Like, are we gonna see more of you? Like, is this the last straw for you?
Oh no, you're gonna see me plenty. So here's kind of the game plan. It's actually, like I said, it's a small world. One of my first events I went to out here, I met this great content creator. Name's Neil. I can't even begin to pronounce his last name. Sorry, Neil. But great guy. He's another LO. He has a really huge success story where he just started posting content, I believe 2, maybe 3 years ago. He basically, same thing, went from 0 followers up to, I think he's on IG, he's up to like 150K.
Wow.
Now he gets out here, he's a social media influencer. He travels the world, he does presentations, presents to folk that have the same vision of, what to do on social media, right? And, I have the luxury of being a part of that, that team and learning from him. So you're going to see my presence all over IG, all over Facebook, getting into the TikTok game. Just being honest, dude, TikTok has not been for me, but if that's what's going to bring in the business, you got to do it, right?
TikTok is where it's at, man.
Mm-hmm.
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube is
YouTube too. Yeah.
YouTube is where it's at. I think, which I'm surprised has 0 videos on YouTube, nothing on TikTok. And here we are.
I have an account on both.
Okay, we're getting there. Step 1 is creating that account. So I'm glad you're making that move, a big jump of creating an account. That's step 1, right? So yeah, like, I'd like to see more of you on social media, and obviously, just like I said earlier, everything comes in a full circle. Neil sounds like a great guy. I do need to follow him. So obviously, please do share. And yeah, I mean, it's ultimately who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with high successful people, you're bound to be there. So ultimately, it's like, do you want to just surround yourself with the average people who are doing average things, average shit in their whole life, or do you want to step up your game and really level up to the role that you want to be? And I think we both agree that we're pretty motivated here this next quarter, and really step down and hone down on our craft. So definitely want to see more social media posts from you. Where can people find you? Like, what's your handle on IG? What's your handle on Facebook? How do we find you?
Yeah, so IG, Again, new to IG, but I got my username memorized now. You just look it up. B Graham, Graham 2007 is my IG. Facebook, just look me up. Brandon Graham. Now, here's a dilemma I have, actually. I'm glad you brought this up. Is apparently Brandon Graham is a famous Philadelphia football player. So whenever you look me up, almost the first person you're going to come across is this football player. So another goal of mine is I'm going to be so famous that when you search my name, you see me before him. Okay. So that's another goal, actually, is I got to get past that, because if you look me up, you always see the football player. I think he's a linebacker or something.
How many followers does he have on Instagram?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Probably tons.
Okay. And what's up with the 2007 behind your name, behind your handle? Like, what's the story behind that? Or
yeah, so I think I created it way back in the day, and just available username that was recommended. Don't get me wrong, I am looking into changing that to something more mortgage professional. Also, additionally, starting next year, 2023. You're going to see a lot of YouTube videos. I'm going to start my own podcast where we're going to interview real estate agents like yourself to just hear on your side of your take on the market, kind of give the consumers some ideas, some good advice, and things like that. So there's a lot of big things coming in 2023.
I'm excited for that because I actually come from lending side, from the bank perspective. So I've been a banker for past 5 years. So very similar to what you do, just beyond bank side of things, we do have very similar products that we offer. But yeah, like I come from the lending side of things where it's like I know exactly what you're talking about. So sharing that perspective as a new agent now, it's like it's gold, because I think we both are entering a market where we're gonna find out there's some of these Joe Schmoes walking around town thinking they can sell $1 million home, and it just doesn't work that way, right? Every real estate agent and loan officer that got in the past 2 years since 2019 is definitely feeling the burn, and I feel like I am that winning ticket in the space where real estate. I'm like, where you been like 2 years ago? Because I haven't seen you be posting a lot of stuff on real estate. So definitely I see that transition to a lot of agents who maybe got licensed, LOs who got licensed a couple years ago, now are disappearing off the market, right? But yeah, some statistics is saying that 1% or 2% of real estate agents and loan officers are actually closing deals. So I'm surprised on how low a percentage of agents are closing. Now, of course, you say every freaking grandma and their kids have their real estate license, which I was like, what's that? Everybody's getting a real estate license, but not everybody's selling. That's what I'm trying to say, is that you'll find out I'm going to get replaced by there's some kids who got their license like yesterday, right? So, which I find surprising. There's competition everywhere, but how do you stand out? And that's why I've been pushing you to be more on social media, like Neil, who's killing it in a space, and now like I'm sure he's getting more attention and more business than anybody else because he has such a good solid foundation, and people pay attention on social media. People will notice your work. I think that's what separates the newbies and the veterans from us, right? So how are you gonna, like, what's your strategy on social media now? Like, are we posting once a week or once, like 2 or 3 times a day? Like, what's your strategy now? Because I feel like we need to be at that level of like 100, 200,000, 500,000 subscribers.
Yeah, so my goal, what I'm targeting, like, again, I'm ramping it up, so I'm just getting all the content created. I can't, I don't want to commit to like 5 or 7 a week when right now I don't have the capacity to get all those videos edited, right?
Yeah.
I'm learning as we go, okay? So where I'm going to get to extremely quickly, like right now, I'm doing 2 videos a week, okay? Guaranteed, no matter what. And what I'm really lacking on that I got to get better at, which we've talked about offline, is I just got to make sure I'm, really active on the story, right? Because people want to see that you're active, see what you're doing. Because if they're watching your content, it's got to kind of correlate to, what you're doing daily, right? To really keep everyone, entertained and on your page. But 2 to 3 reels a week, that's ample. You get to the point where you can do more, great. But 3 is really a good sweet spot as long as you're active on your story, right? So everything on there really should go over to Facebook. because the algorithms right now are just, they're constantly changing. But Facebook's algorithms with Reels is trying to catch up to Instagram, so they have a bigger reach right now. Like when I post my Reels, I'm brand new and I'm getting like 4 or 5K views on Facebook versus like maybe 500 on IG. That's just simply because of the reach.
Yeah, which is crazy. Like now that you're experiencing that kind of flow of attention versus platform to platform, like that's a big deal, right? When you're first starting off, like one platform might give you 100 or 1,000 views, but going on Facebook or YouTube or any other platform, it's 2x, 3x the attention. So definitely, like that's definitely a key to, I think, success, because like you said, those attention, those followers, they do correlate, and ultimately when they find you, they will follow you on other brands of social media. So
Exactly.
yeah, so I think that's definitely super important. But yeah, I'm glad you're on social media, because like I tried to find you earlier, I couldn't find you. I was like, who is this dude out of nowhere just coming out like into San Diego? Which now that we're doing this video, I feel like the audience learns a little bit more about you, and definitely can find you if they need you on everything loan officer advice. But yeah, I'm glad you're here and we can do a lot of work. So any last wise words for us for those young folks who are trying to get into maybe your space or my space, or even just building content in general, right?
Yeah, I mean,
what's your advice on that?
we could talk for a long time on all of that. I believe, you look at all the rich people in the country, right, or the world. Most of them are wealthy from real estate. Okay, so if you're really looking for true wealth, true financial freedom, I believe real estate, whether it's investing, loan officer, being a real estate agent, just like if you become a loan officer or even a real estate agent, you're automatically in the game, and you start seeing the investing, you start learning, and hopefully eventually you'll want to invest yourself, right?
Right.
But there's so much wealthy freedom once you get into real estate, as long as you're willing to put in the work. It's it's funny because I think you brought up everybody and their grandma getting their license, right? A lot of people in 2020, 2021 think, oh, we're all just getting easy checks, right? And then people truly don't know until they get into the game how much work actually goes into it, right? Because if you're just sitting in your room or sitting at home, nobody's going to know who you are. You're not going to get business. You have to put yourself out there. So if this is a field you're looking to explore, just know that the work you're putting in is the results you're going to get. And if you don't want to work, it might not be the right field for you.
Yeah.
But if you want potential financial freedom, you want to kind of run your own business, I live and breathe it. I love it.
Yeah.
And I will work with anybody. I love building new connections. And you're going to see a whole lot more of me on social media, that I can assure you, Stephen.
Definitely. And just to say the last thing, it's like you're right. It's like ultimately at the end of the day, it's about branding. It's not even about the actual work, right? Because we all know, like we all come from 9 to 5. I think we all bring that mindset of being an employee. I think a lot of them, it's hard to kind of escape that like rat race of being a 9 to 5. I think we all have that like mindset before. It's like, how do I turn that into $1 million business? I think a lot of times it's like they don't have the right resources, and that's a whole other topic, right? Of just separating yourself, being an employee versus now you're your own boss, and how do we elevate your game out of that 50K or 100K salary and turn that into something that you will be more successful at. Not everybody's an entrepreneur, right? This is a hard space to be in, and it's a constant grind. I think anybody know it's gonna be a constant grind when you don't know where your next paycheck is gonna be at. I think that's when you know your back is against the fence and you gotta make shit happen. You have to close out deals to feed yourself, right? I think like a lot of people don't understand that this is not a paycheck. We can get it every 2 weeks or every week. This is if you don't sell, you're not getting fed, right? You're not paying your bills. So I don't know about you, but I don't want to be homeless. So
No.
I don't want to be living on the streets. So yeah, I agree that mentality is there, and yeah, like I think most people don't understand. Like this this is a hard game to be in, and everybody needs to really elevate that. So,
Well said.
well said. Okay. I like that. I like that. Okay, sounds good. I mean, good to have you here. Thank you, and yeah, we'll definitely make this a regular event, and hopefully we will learn more about you and more content from you, and definitely see more of you. So.
Absolutely. If I don't see you before the end of the new year, man, have a great holidays and a great new year. Don't party too hard.
Always, always. Got it.
Take care, man.
Take care.